Welcome into Giants Training Camp Report presented by Investors Bank. Players are getting into phase 2. Coaches are on the field working with the players. Helmets are on. At this point in training camp, what's the energy like?
It's very exciting to get back out onto the football field and to coaches to actually be able to be hands-on with the players, because one of the things that you really have to think about all the way going back to Joe Judge's introductory press conference, we're going to be sound in our techniques and our fundamentals. And when you don't have an offseason of OTAs and mini camps, this is that true specific time for each and every player at all positions to be able to focus on those techniques and fundamentals, especially with the coach's eyes on them, because they haven't been able to see it before, because we know once the regular season starts, you're not going to have the luxury and time to be able to hone in on those things specifically. And
we remember, too, that another priority of Joe Judge's was having coaches that are good teachers.
Yes.
And that has to have come into effect over this offseason, which was entirely virtual, getting these guys in this kind of classroom type setting, and now that translating to the field as we're seeing now.
No question. I mean, that's the only way to have a successful football team and a successful offense or defense. When you're meeting in those Zoom calls, you're in your own specific groups. Yes, you may have one overall for the entire defense or offense, but usually you're specific. Linebackers in one Zoom call, defensive ends in another. But until you get on the field and communicate with one another that all 11 are on the same page for that play, it takes that muscle memory to get back. And that's the great thing about now having the time where the coaches are out on the field to make sure with new schemes on both sides of the ball that those things aren't swept under the carpet trying to get ready for the regular season.
For the Giants fan who doesn't have a real grasp of what Jason Garrett's offense is, how would you explain it?
The one thing that I love about Jason Garrett's offense, it is run heavy with play action passing built off of it, but it's also multiple based upon what type of scheme and what type of players that you have out there. When you think about DeMarco Murray when he was on the Cowboys, it was more setting the edge and the outside zone scheme running. When you look at Ezekiel Elliott, it was all based upon running inside those two tackles and having everything based off of those run schemes so that the run and play action pass look the same. And the other thing that I love what Jason Garrett utilizes, quick slants, getting easy yardage, and that deep in cut off of play action. Those are all things that we're going to see out of this Jason Garrett offense. But the one thing that they do that a lot of teams and a lot of defenses have a problem with, they're going to try to stretch you vertically. They're going to try to find holes in the man coverages and in the zone coverages and get those playmakers as well as the tight end like Evan Ingram the ball downfield.
Well, and of course, the more that these guys are on the field with the helmets, the pads on, the more the coaches get to evaluate. Obviously, special teams is one of those positions that guys who are trying to make the roster really have to hone in. But with no preseason games, how difficult is it to evaluate talent in just these practices?
It's very difficult. With 0 preseason games, not only are you not getting the speed of the game, but you're not allowing those young players to have those big splash plays that draw attention to them. So actually, when we sit here and talk about this training camp, the most competitive area is going to be special teams for those guys that usually make those highlights up during OTAs and minicamp to draw that attention. They didn't have that now. They don't have the preseason games. So in order to make this football team, if you're not making plays on special teams, don't think that you're going to get by with doing it just on offense and defense.
A very young Giants team we've got out on this football field. And as you mentioned, new schemes, new coordinators. Patrick Graham takes on this new defense on this new Giants roster. There's a player that he's got some familiarity with already. Our Paul Dottino caught up with Blake Martinez recently.
So, Blake, you've been around the NFL for a number of years, and unfortunately, you had to talk to your new head coach via virtual for many, many months. Only now, in the last several days or so, have you gotten a chance to work with him. How did your expectations differ when you finally got a chance to meet him in person?
I don't think they differed too much. I think he presented himself exactly how he's going to be every single day, whether it was in team meetings and things like that. Attention to detail, everyone being ready to go, and just doing what they need to do every day to help the team be the best they can be. And he's done that once again once we got into the building. Started with kind of the team meetings and everything, and as we've been going, he's just keep rising the level every single day.
Now, one guy you knew very well before you even got here was Patrick Graham. Obviously was your linebackers coach in Green Bay a few years back. What are the differences in Patrick Graham as a defensive coordinator compared to when he was a positional coach?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's too much difference. I think he's had passion no matter what position he's been at in the football realm, no matter what he's been doing. whether it was coaching D-line, coaching linebackers, now being the defensive coordinator here. Every single day he's bringing the juice. He asks guys all the time if we have the juice ready to go. And he's always been intelligent, no matter what he's talking about. And it's been awesome to kind of just see him in the defensive coordinator light now, and just learning from him every single day.
How difficult do you think his defensive scheme is to learn? Again, I understand that you've had some hints because you worked with him before, but there are people here on this roster who really don't know anything about him or his mentality.
No, yeah, I think overall, scheme-wise, I think the difficulty right now is just having to do it so quickly. Obviously, getting into camp, and this was the first time everyone's seen each other in person, to be able to go through things, be able to walk through things in person, not over Zoom. And so having that portion, I think that's the most difficult aspect. Right now, we've been doing a really good job of working together and working through the tough times, like I said.
Well, let's talk about that virtual situation for just a minute. Look, you've been around this league long enough to know that this week would probably have been the regular, or not the regular, but the preseason opener where you guys would get a chance to play against other helmets and other uniforms. That is not the case this year. How much do you miss that, if at all? Do you think, especially with a team that's got so many new faces on it, that may have been more beneficial to this squad?
No, yeah, I think I like the preseason in general. Just being able to get out there and hit some guys, go live, make tackles, and do those things, and just work the fundamentals that you go through every single day in practice and in a live situation. But I think overall, right now, it's just going to have to be a portion again of adapting to what we're given, and focusing on the things that we can control within practice and do the things necessary to be ready for the season opener.
Final question. You have a gym at home. We heard about that during your off-season interviews. How much did that prepare you for what you're going through now? Have you met your physical and conditioning expectations?
Yeah, no, that helped me a ton. It was one of those moments where everyone asked me, they're like, oh, you had to be so lucky to have that. And I was like, yes, but also my trainer had every kind of torture device possible to have me do anything and everything to basically destroy me every day. But no, it helped me a lot. And I think the biggest thing was that once I got here, obviously quarantining, my body had to get the rust off the first couple days, but ever since then, it's got me ready.
Blake Martinez, good to talk to you. Best of luck the rest of the way during training camp. Thanks for your time.
Yep, thank you so much.
All right, we're about a month away from the regular season starting. For David Diehl, I'm Madelyn Burke. Thanks for hanging with us.